I wanted to try to do a quick video on the hot and cold swords. That the mechanic in Savage where there are 4 clones and they're all slashing a different direction, and you have to try to determine where to stand in order to resolve your temperature gauge. I'm gonna try to keep this quick and simple, like under 3 minutes, hopefully. So forgive like the lack of editing and stuff on this. I just want this to be quick. So the most important thing about this mechanic is to understand that the way markers that you see to the left of the boss right now, the 1, 2, 3, 4, those are really important, and um, you're going to be able to determine not only where the safe spot is, but also where you need to stand to get cleaved to resolve your particular temperature gauge. The boss is always going to jump, as you probably saw at the very beginning here, to the middle of the arena like she is right now, which means in the marker layout that we're using, the 1, 2, 3, 4 are always going to be to her left if you're oriented your camera towards north. It's a downtime mechanic, meaning she's going to be untargetable, so take your time and just execute this mechanic. Don't worry about doing DPS. Orient your camera if you have to. Make sure that the 1, 2, 3, 4 are in a familiar position so that you can look at this very quickly. The 1, 2, 3, 4 markers are on top of 4 tiles, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, and then 4 here, kind of on the edge. One of these 4 tiles is going to be the safe spot, meaning that no sword is going to cleave it, meaning there will be no change in temperature. For the majority of the raid people, you will want to get hit by a sword. So why would we want to know where the safe spot is? Well, the square that you will then stand on to get hit by only one sword, only the sword that you want to get hit by, is always going to be to the north, south, east, or west of the safe spot. So if we take the setup right now as an example, if we determine that the safe spot is 2, right here where my cursor is tracing, no swords are going to cleave that. So I guess if you had the mechanic where you didn't want to change your temperature, you would just stay on this square. But then you would also be able to determine which square to stand on to get cleaved is going to be either this square, this square, this square, or this square. Again, north, east, south, or west of the safe spot. If you're anywhere else, you're going to get cleaved by 2 swords and probably die. So let's use this as an example. Step 1, I guess, is just to make note of what your temperature is. So let's see that go out. Okay, so I have 2 hot. This is the mechanic, I believe, in the fight. It's the first time we see it, so we don't have the brand, we don't have to do any math. Determining the safe spot and where you need to stand does not change with math. You just have to do a little bit of extra thinking. So I'm not going to show that example. I'm just going to show this one. But you would apply that to the same theory if you had like 3 red, for example. You would need to get hit by 2 blue and then 1 blue, because it does 2 sets. So you'll see. So again, step 1, just note that you have 2 red, which means you need 2 blue. I need to get hit by a sword that is cleaving 2 blue. Okay? The next thing that we're going to do, again, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to keep ourselves oriented to north. There's going to be a clone right here, always. There's always going to be one on the quote-unquote north relative to the 1, 2, 3, 4, between the 1 and the 2-ish. We're going to look at that clone. If that clone is cleaving to the sides, then we are going to use that clone to determine where the safe spot is. If she's not, we're simply going to rotate our camera and look at the clone that's between 3 and 4 to determine the safe spot. So let this play out. One thing to note, and I'll point it out when we see the clone, we are not looking at where the clone is facing. We are looking at where the sword is cleaving. You'll see. So she's casting Unwavering Apparition, which is going to summon our clones, and as early as right now, we can determine the safe spot. Notice that the sword right here is cleaving to the sides. She's facing north and south, but her sword is cleaving to the side. That means that we can use this clone to determine where the safe spot is. It's always going to be away from the side with the cleave and away from the clone. It's that simple. You don't have to think any more about that. You don't have to think about which side she's cleaving or anything like that. She's cleaving this side, so we're going to be on either 2 or 3, and we're going to be away from that clone. So we're going to be on 3. 3 is our safe spot. So everyone runs there. 3. People call it out sometimes. That's cool. It's better not to rely on it if you have to, whatever. If you can determine the safe spot yourself quicker, that's even better. But once you know where the safe spot is, again, the places that we're going to want to stand are either going to be here, 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 or here. Safe spot again is 3. So the tile north, east, south, or west are going to be where we want to stand to get hit by our sword. Now I have 2 fire, so I want to get hit by 2 blue, which is here, 2 cold. So in order to get hit where this is cleaving, she is cleaving her sword towards the south, so I'm going to stand on the tile south of the safe spot. And that's it. Again, if I stood here, I would be getting hit by 2. If I stood here, I'd be getting hit by 2. The only safe spots in this situation are the tiles north, east, south, and west of this safe spot that we determined was 3. And there our mechanic is resolved. She does another set. In this case, we don't have any math to perform. So the next set, we're just going to want to stand in the safe spot. If we had like a brand that took us to 3, we would want to get hit by a 2 or 1 on the second set. We don't have to worry about that right now. So let's watch this again and do the same thing. Watch the north. She's cleaving to the side. So again, this is going to be our indicator of where the safe spot is. Away from the cleave, which is these 2 tiles. So these 2 tiles are not going to be safe. And then away from her. So this tile is not safe, which makes tile 4 our safe spot. And then since we don't want to get hit by anything, we're just going to stay here. If for some reason we did want to get hit by something, let's take a great example that confuses a lot of people. Let's say that I wanted to get hit by blue. Or I'm sorry, let's say I have 1 blue, I want to get hit by 1 red, which is this copy right here. It does not matter which way the clone is facing. We want to get hit where the sword is cleaving. So do not get confused when you see her facing this way. She is not going to cleave this way. She's going to cleave this way. So if I wanted to get hit by 1 red, I would simply move to this square. In this case, I don't want to get hit by anything. This person maybe does, or maybe is confused. And then our temperature is going to resolve, and we pass that mechanic.